so real that I forget you are no longer. I only have you this way, and I know you can stay. I only have you this way. Don't want to let a dream go, though it haunts me. It also thrills me as soon as I close my eyes. You're waiting for me. I only have you this way, and I know you can stay. I only have you this way, and I know you can stay. I only have you this way. This way. Wake me up, wake me up, wake me up, wake me up. I cannot have you this way.
Here we go.
Yes. Give it up.
Yeah. Thanks.
You all are listening to the jaw-dropping Jackie Venson, well known for her guitar grooves and paying the dues to the blues. We are here at B-Side, keeping the tradition all the way live, and I am your host, Queen GodIs, asking you all to join me again and giving a very warm Brooklyn welcome to our very special guest, Jackie Venson. Also featuring your invisible band, also known as Jackie Venson.
Yeah, I know. This is Jackie Venson Jr., this is Jackie Venson II, and that's Jackie Venson III.
This is amazing. How long did it take you to perfect all the bells and whistles of this setup?
I'm going to be honest, it's been like a 4-year process.
Yeah.
But for probably about 3 of the years, it was just the guitar and the looper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the guitar and the looper, and then those 2 effects pedals that I used as solo. None of the bass pedals, no drum machine. And it took me like 2.5 years to realize maybe I should get a drum machine.
Okay.
Because I was making all the noises on the guitar, and I never realized how muddy it sounded until, you know when you're going one way and you see somebody do something and you're like, oh, and like something clicks. And that's exactly what happened. I went to a So Far show.
Oh,
and,
So Far Sounds.
Yeah, and somebody was using one of these. And I was like.
And you went up to that person and you said, give me the scoop.
What is that? You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, it's a Roland SPSX. And he told me about it. He like played it a little bit. And he's like, yeah, I saw your looper show. You ever thought about plugging one of these into your looper pedal? And it was just like.
Shout out to musicians who help other musicians.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like.
Yeah.
So shout out to Footwork out of DC, actually.
Okay. Shout out to Footwork. Okay.
Yeah.
Let us start this show today with a question that I don't typically ask many artists because age ain't nothing but a number. Shout out to Aaliyah, rest in peace. Hashtag mute R. Kelly or transmute R. Kelly, and may we all get the healing that we need and deserve.
Tell me about it.
How old are you?
Can you guess?
I'm gonna guess 28.
I'm 28.
You are 28.
I'm literally
High
exactly
five. Yes. Okay, good.
Wow.
Yep.
On the nose.
I'm asking that question because I want the audience and those watching at home who are not familiar with you, or those who think that they know you, to contextualize everything that they're witnessing from you in age, because one, as a point of like hope, because a lot of times people feel like the millennial generation is lost when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Period.
Really anything, though.
Yeah, I know.
They trash millennials
They
constantly,
do.
man.
And I don't feel like you deserve all of it, you know.
We deserve some of it, but like not
right.
like 95% of it.
And there is a strong relationship with old soul.
Yeah.
That you have. Some of it that I feel like you have naturally, but a lot of it you inherited because you grew up in a situation that really honored the musical traditions. So let's go there. You're 28, 20 years ago, at 8 years old, you were learning how to play the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And very briefly, for those who haven't heard the story, just tell them what that journey was like of learning this instrument as an 8-year-old. There are some people who get it just like that, like they kind of wake up and they know what to do, but that was not the case for you.
No, it took me 4 years to really get it. I was skirting by, you know, I didn't like the palpable disappointment of my teacher every week, and so I would practice just enough to not have that. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be stoked, but he'd be like, well, I guess I see that you practice a little bit.
Right.
So I like.
But you also had help.
I had help. My mom helped me learn how to read music. It was just so overwhelming. Yeah. Like learning how to play music is literally like learning a language. It is learning a language.
Yes.
It's not like it. It is it. And so learning how, like doing flashcards with music notes on it and watching people who already knew how to do it, it was just so overwhelming. And it took me like 4 years to get past that and just focus. It's like, doesn't matter what they're doing. Just, you know, do this for you. You're where you are. Just focus on that.
So, and focusing on that, like the just not getting discouraged, but also family as part of like
they helped me
you know,
with
sometimes
that.
families send their kids to music lessons and you just got to do it because they said so.
Yeah.
But your family is different in this case in that, yes, this is something that they kind of helped lay out for you, but they held your hand, and I want to say in the most powerful way that hand-holding can happen. One, your mom could read music, even though she's not technically a musician, and so she kind of helped you take those steps when they were daunting. And then your father, Andrew Venson, is a staple in the music community, bassist,
he's playing
singer.
in the back room 4 nights a week. He's rehearsing with his band in the back room, you know. So I'm seeing people who do it all the time, and I'm also getting to talk to those people. You know, I'll talk to the people in his band. I'm like 10 years old. Talk to the keyboard player in his band, who's amazing. And I'm like, hey, so I'm learning how to play the piano too, but how long did it take you to do this? How long did it take you to do that? What's this like? Why is this so hard? You know, I'd be able to talk to people about it instead of just being forced into piano lessons and not understanding why 3 months of practice left me seemingly nowhere.
Right.
You know,
so
it's insane.
This is my, I guess, quick follow-up question to all of that. How and when were you able to distinguish your relationship or your draw to music from being something that was passed down to you from people who had a love for it, your mother, your father, versus something that was like innate?
I still can't really see the line. I'm going to be honest. It took me 4 years to love the piano, and it took me 4 years, and if my parents wouldn't have been like, just practice for 30 minutes and it'll be great. You know, if they weren't there just like edging me along the day by day, I think I would have given up. But like after that 4 years, things started to work, things started to sink in. I finally was able to have conversations per se, you know, reference to it being a language. I was able to have conversations. I was able to read stuff and recite it.
Well, it's a special question because you think a lot of young people who grew up with famous parents or with parents who had a thing, whether it was acting, whatever, and then you start to see them follow in those footsteps. Maybe it is divine, maybe they chose their parents well, and then maybe they're carrying the torch a little bit further than their parents were able to. We don't really know the answers, but
really
we're going to discover them.
It
is a mystery, and
but it's there. The innateness is there. I don't know how much of it is there. I don't know if it's like 10% or 70%, but it is there.
Well, that's
for sure.
a good mystery that I feel like we spend the rest of our lives figuring out. Speaking of mystery, the next song is called Mysterious, so I feel like it all goes together well. Give it up one more time for Jackie Venson.
And at night before I go to sleep, I think of him. Even though I did not want him, I still think of him. And the passion that I feel confuses me. It is blind and it is real, overwhelming. But it's all good, it's all right. Mysterious, mysterious heart. It's all good, I won't hide. My mysterious, mysterious heart. Yeah. What is life without love? I don't want to know. I do not understand it all, but in time I'll grow. Baby child, blank slate, growing up, growing pains, have no faith, go insane. Baby child, blank slate, growing up, growing pains, have no faith, go insane. Still it's all good, it's all right. Mysterious, mysterious heart. It's all good, I won't hide. My mysterious, mysterious heart. Yeah. Can't you see through me? Changes. Oh, my it will shape shift. Baby child, blank slate, growing up, growing pains, have no faith, go insane. Baby child, blank slate, growing up, growing pains, deny love, live in vain. Still it's all good, it's all right. Mysterious, mysterious heart. It's all good, I won't hide. My mysterious, mysterious heart.
Jackie Venson.
There we go. Sometimes it's a near miss, you know what I mean?
There's always a surprise in there. Speaking of mysterious,
I know,
there's some
seriously.
mysterious things
It
that are
doesn't
bound
matter.
to happen.
It doesn't matter how long I do that.
It's all good.
You
It's
know,
all good.
technology just,
Yep, it has its own brain.
it really does. But I'm cool with it. My dad always taught me if something weird happens in the show, just make it into a joke.
That's right.
You know?
Shout out to your dad. We're going to talk a bit about him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Journey. First of all, I would love for you to tell us how you ended up in Brooklyn. So unlike most of the artists on this show, you actually don't live in Brooklyn. You are not necessarily moonlighting here or sowing your royal oats here. This is a pit stop on a tour for you. And you've been here for how long, this run?
So far, I've been here for 2 weeks. And I've actually been to New York like so many times, I feel like I live here. I still know how to get places.
Right. Actually, like specifically in
learned the
Brooklyn
subway.
or just in New York in general?
New York and Harlem and Brooklyn, because of the trips I've been here. I've gone between those three places like constantly. So
How would you
it's
finish this statement? Brooklyn is?
Brooklyn is one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've been to a lot of really big cities, and I've been to a lot of really large populated cities, but there's not really any cities that look like Brooklyn, and it's funny because Brooklyn started off as like a neighborhood, and now it's like one of the biggest
it's like
cities
a metropolis now.
It's like one of the biggest cities in America.
It's
now.
going outward and upward, but the
like,
next time you come here, I don't think it might not even be called Brooklyn anymore, and that'll just pain my heart, but let's leave that for another conversation.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm glad that you're having a good time here. Do you feel inspired here?
Yes, I do.
Have you gotten any new tools or creative ideas while being here?
It's insane because the best way I can describe Brooklyn is it's a trip because it's so close to like the biggest, most popular city on the planet, or at least top 5. But it's like, I don't feel like I'm anywhere near Manhattan right now. Like the whole vibe of Manhattan is completely different. It's what you would kind of expect when people are like, New York City, the Big Apple. And it's crazy that it's just across the river. And this is like a totally different place.
For now.
I
feel like there's a switcheroo happening.
But I hope not, but it really feels that way. And it's felt like that like all 15 times I've been here. I've been here so many times because my sister went to Pratt for her master's.
Right. Okay, cool. I was going to save this for later. Christina, yes. What would there's a funny thing you said about style. We'd save this for later, but since she came up, what would she say about this outfit today? She'd go, okay. And why are we bringing your sister up in relation to style?
Because she's like the one who bought me all these clothes. She got these on a stoop in Brooklyn because we go stoop shopping all the time, and we find some great stuff.
All of Brooklyn is a flea. All of Brooklyn is a flea market.
That's
walking
my
down the
favorite
street,
thing about
I mean, it really is. I can say that much.
I love it so
much. The finds on the street, and also your sister said you have all of this stuff going on, and we could spend like literally like many artists on this show hours talking to you.
Forever, yeah.
Unlike many artists, you've done so many interviews, and so I'm actually interested in hearing what you would like to talk about. That's very different from what people have asked you before. So let's throw style in there.
Yes.
Now, your sister has this thing. It was like, you're great on the guitar. You're amazing. You may be. But what do you look like? And so it's like while you're focused on practicing and like honing your craft and being a standout in this way, your sister's like, okay, well, don't forget this other stuff.
She's like literally shopping for me, actually. She's like literally at the store while I'm at this rehearsal space. She's like at the store shopping for herself and also shopping for me.
Has that changed the way that you approach music or that you play or that you show up on stage?
No, it doesn't. I want to be a performer for a living, for a profession, and I am right now, and I want to continue to be, and that just comes with the job, and I'm willing to accept that. You know, like every job you apply for, there's going to be things about it that you really connect with, and there's going to be things about it that you don't really care about. And the things that you connect with are so powerful that you'll put up with the things that you don't really care about. And that's kind of how it is with style. I recognize style and I respect it. I see people with bomb style in Brooklyn all the time, and I'm like, but this is what I really, really care about, and I'm so lucky to have somebody like kind of picking up the slack for me in that area. You know, I'm really lucky.
And I think as things grow, you'll have a lot of somebody's picking up the slack, and that's probably one of the best things. I was watching Chadwick Boseman at the Met Gala, and kind of knowing a lot of people who know him, and then watching him kind of step out in this like super fancy, flared out way because he has people to pick these clothes for him and kind of match the Black Panther vibes that he's been giving everybody.
Totally.
How does style spill over into the guitar? Do you ever go into a shop and you're like, of course you want the guitar to be functional, you want the strings to be functional, to work, to not pop so easily, even though that's really difficult with you playing. But do you ever go into a guitar shop and you see a guitar that may not necessarily be the best of the top of the line, but it looks really good? And have you done that before? Like, have you?
Look, I came so close to buying this like $75 like I don't even know what it was called. It was like called like Girls Rock guitar or something. It literally said like Girls Rock on the top.
Okay.
And it was
true,
deep
by
purple.
the way.
I know,
but,
they do.
You know, I don't think people
Girls
really
do
get
rock,
the levels to that.
Yeah, but like it's like it was like a really deep purple, and it was like purple glitter.
Oh.
And I was just like, wow.
So it didn't happen?
No, because I would have had to upgrade the pickups, and
it would have been a lot.
And nothing's better than this guitar.
Which is, does this guitar have a name?
Yeah, Herbie.
Herbie.
Yeah, after Herbie Hancock.
Of course, right on. Well, let's go into the next song, but as we go into the next song, you know, a lot of the influences for you are people who well, some of whom you've gotten to play with, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they are they are most people's favorite artists' favorite artist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Your influences. So we have a lot to talk about. Give it up for Jackie Venson and Herbie.
Yes, Herbie. I haven't named this one yet.
Right on. The next song is called "Don't Lie to Me."
Cool.
As the wind is blowing, it carries away my trust. As the rain is pouring, it washes away my lust. My eyes are wide open, all I see is one man. He better act fast now and catch me while he still can. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, don't lie to me. Yeah. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, I cared for you. Yeah. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, don't lie to me. Yeah. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, I cared for you. My heart, it beats to the rhythm of mercy. Oh, how I long to believe that he loves me. I need to be careful, I need to protect myself. Surround me with wisdom of the divine truth. Yeah. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, I cared for you. Yeah. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, don't lie to me, I cared for you. So hard to trust, I have to let go, yeah. So I don't have to wait so long for love. And so I must, I have to let go. So I don't have to wait so long for love. As the wind is blowing, it carries away my trust. As the rain is pouring, it washes away my luster. My eyes are wide open, all I see is one man. He better act fast now and catch me while he still can.
All right, let's jump in here. First of all, Herbie has a lot to say.
Oh, yes.
You're discovering something in your music that is really interesting to watch from afar.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the conversation around Journey.
Okay.
We did classical training with the piano at 8, struggled through it a little bit, but kind of got the knack for the
12,
muscle, that it takes to really do
get
something like that.
yeah.
Get somewhere.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 16, you were in your dad's jazz band.
Yeah, well, I was in a kid band that my dad conned me into auditioning for.
Okay.
And it was actually a bunch of other kids around my age that were also really talented. That was a great experience, and that's what kind of was like the first time I had ever not played classical piano on the piano.
How instrumental, no pun intended, was he in that? Like, did he hover
Oh
over
my
you?
God.
Was he like a Joe Jackson kind of?
I would have. He was no, he can't. He's way too laid back. He's
Yeah.
like, whatever, man, it's cool. He can't ever be a helicopter parent because
Right.
he's just too laid back. What he did though was he would monitor me. So I'd be trying to learn the songs at the band because I got into the band. I was the only keyboard player that auditioned.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, well, if she can play Mozart, she could probably play like
Here's
Natalie
yours.
Cole, you know?
Yeah, right.
So they let me in the band and
That's
like
funny.
they give me like 5 songs to learn
Yeah.
for like the first rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like freaking out about these songs, and like I'm in a closed room, and my dad just would come in, hey, you doing all right? And he'd see me get really frustrated, and he'd be like, what's wrong?
This is interesting because for me, my parents never hovered over me with getting my education, but I was really the straight A student. I really wanted to, and so like you would find me in a room by myself sometimes, like hovering over my own shoulder, being like, finish that homework.
You're your own
and so it's really
parent.
interesting when, I don't know if he's a Jedi master or something, but he found a way without kind of like imposing his will to get you to kind of like put yourself in a position of like wanting to be so focused and practice that you could get to where you are at 28 years old, being able to play the way that you do. But I want to go deeper into this conversation around Journey, because a lot of times when people ask you or other artists, how do you want to be classified? How do you decide what music to play? How do you decide all of these things? A lot of times we say, well, I do what comes from the heart. You just got to be true to yourself. And that's all real and true. But there are those moments where we are torn between what speaks to us organically, what our natural drive is, and also understanding the world that we're in, understanding the realm that we're in.
Yeah.
So after 16, you go to Berkeley College
in Boston,
and struggle a bit there again.
I was always only in my own realm, and everyone at Berkeley's in the other realm. They're in the like, how are you going to make that into money? I'm like, money? What are you talking about? I'm not thinking about money.
So you go through, how many years did you do?
3 years.
You did 3 years. So you kind of sped up your graduation. So there's a quote where you say, I'm graduating, I'm going home, and I'm playing the guitar. Almost like this is it. I'm cutting all of this short, clean slate.
Yeah.
You made a decision to jump to the guitar at that point, coming out of Berkeley, which did not necessarily come organically out of your time at Berkeley. And I feel like that decision helped me clarify. Was it part organic, meaning organic, I'm just going to try something new because I'm fed up with everything old?
Yeah.
And also, it was also part strategy. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, talk about that.
Absolutely was. So I wanted to switch to a different instrument. I didn't want to play the piano and sing.
Right, because that would make you too much like
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. All right.
Yes. And it's
which
like,
is an inspiration of yours. And
I love Alicia Keys.
Of course.
Don't get me wrong.
But we understand how the industry works. As soon as you come out,
like
perhaps looking
same
similar.
Skin color. We're like literally the exact same. Like we could share makeup.
Right.
Like,
and
real.
nobody wants to be called Alicia Keys Jr. because that's just whack.
No.
So
and we do a similar kind of music too.
If Alicia Keys did not exist,
well,
would you be playing the piano?
No,
you would feel like you would have still
Alicia
gone to
Keys is just the latest one. There's so many women who play the piano and sing and have killed it and have cornered that market. Alicia Keys is just the latest one. You know, there was Nora Jones. There was like seriously, there's like one every 7 years.
Right.
Sarah Bareilles was the last one. But Sarah Bareilles wasn't the exact same skin color as me.
No.
I'm just saying, like, it just had been done too many times. And also...
Which is not to discourage those who are on that track.
Because not at all.
Everybody, people say find your lane, or they try to make us believe, that especially with women, they try to make us believe that there can only be one at a time who does anything, which is absurd, right? No. So keep going.
Yeah, of course. That disclaimer totally considered, and any woman who wants to play and sing and that's what their heart says, do it. Because what happens is if it's in your heart, you will find your own lane and you will stand out. And I think that the strategy didn't come from me being like, I'll never make it because I look like Alicia Keys. Right. I think that was just the tip that I needed. That it was like the clue.
Let's watch your
Oh, sorry. It was like the clue. It wasn't in my heart. See, if playing the piano and singing was truly in my heart, I would have found a way to make it work, and I wouldn't have cared about the fact that I look like Alicia Keys.
That's an interesting aha moment. Thank you, Auntie Oprah, where strategy and divine alignment, like they're both kind of in sync.
They just line up. It's
That's
like,
really
look,
special.
this is in your heart anyway, and also it's going to be really hard. You have to make yourself stand out, and how are you going to do that and face all of that pushback? If it's not truly in your heart.
So let's talk about the guitar and how it ends up being this divine gift, but also this like really methodic strategy to say, I'm going to play the guitar. Now there's also a legacy of women blues rock guitarists, particularly black women, who did not get a lot of shine, but who are phenomenal.
I know, Rosetta Tharpe is unbelievable.
It's amazing, right?
I watched her, I was like, wow!
And they just look, and it looks crazy in the best way. Like nothing, like, yep, racism, yep, people want me to clean their toilets, yep, somebody just spat in my face, yep, and I'm still killing it. It's really
a boss. She
amazing.
showed up in mink. She was like, hey.
With the cigarette sometimes hanging off the lip, like just so much flair and so much skill at the same time. Now people are like heavy on the skill, heavy on the flair and very light on the flair. So there's a tradition that you're coming into or following with this guitar, but to be a millennial and to be shredding the way that you do, including the string that popped right before the show started.
I know. My string, I had to run back to my sister's place to get a new string.
Clearly it's working. That was a smart strategy. But this is the other part of that question. When people introduce you or want to talk about how great you are, they want to label you the blues guitarist because that, for many people, is the most standout thing about what you're doing. But what the songs that we're listening to do today are not necessarily blues rock. They're not in that tradition, even though you bring in these elements. Yeah. You are pulling in reggae, pulling in some hip hop, pulling in synth pop, pulling in alternative sounds, pulling in soul, pulling in all of these different things. I want to know, as honestly as possible, how challenging is that journey? How much of that journey was like you saying, I feel torn, or I feel like I want to ride the wave that the blues, rock, guitar thing is taking me, but I also kind of am 28 years old and I want to do these other things. Is that a challenge?
It is a challenge. It's a challenge for my ego. It's not physically a challenge. It's like, at the end of the day, I am playing guitar and traveling the world, and maybe I'm not super rich, but I'm also able to travel the world, so I'm also not doing too bad. And I'm playing the songs that I write when I feel the things that I feel. And because I'm all over the place, on the flip side of that, the hard part is, and the hard part for my ego is, it's really hard to find a label. It's really hard to find a booking agent. It's very hard to find these people because the booking agents and the labels are like, well, we're a blues label, and we just listen to Only Have You, and that's a pop song. What are we going to do with that? And then the pop labels are like, well, we really like Only Have You, but what are we going to do with Don't Lie to Me? It's very, very, very hard.
But I have this feeling.
But it's like I can't not do it. I can't just play blues song after blues song after blues song. That's not what's in my heart. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
No.
But that's not what's in my heart. And if I'm going to endure all the crap that musicians and artists have to endure, I'm not going to do it doing stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect note to go into the next song.
Yes, I will find a way.
You will find a way. The next song is called I'll Find a Way. We are here with Jackie Venson dropping jewels. Give it up.
Here we go.
Summertime, spring has come and gone. Golden rays of light, illumination. I see so clearly now. I have a vision. They say follow your dreams. They say follow your dreams. I will follow my dreams. And I know that I don't want to suffer. And so I will leave my bags behind and be brave, no matter how uncertain. Oh, I will find a way. I'm telling you there will be a way. I will find a way. As I grow, I have left behind the part of me that can make up my mind. They took advantage of it. I feel I can't go on. I feel I can't go on. Oh, I must go on. And I know that I don't want to suffer. And so I will listen to my heart and be brave, no matter how uncertain. Oh, I will find a way. I'm telling you there will be a way. I will find. telling you there will be a way. I will find a way. I'm telling you there will be a way. I will find a way.
You will find a way.
Yeah.
You are finding a way.
Yeah.
And
Already
we have
doing it.
documentation for that process.
Yeah.
In 2013, when you put out, I guess, one of your first projects, which was called, it was an EP called Rolling On.
Rolling On. That was when I thought I wanted to do blues only.
Yeah.
I had to figure out that I
Yeah.
didn't want to do blues only.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the world that you're being groomed into. And you have a lot of these old cats around you, so you kind of got it naturally.
Especially in
We hear
Austin.
the tug of war between blues and, or at least what is probably felt like a tug of war.
Yeah.
But I think that it's clear that it really is not a tug of war. It doesn't have to be. A mentor of yours, Willie Dixon, said the blues is the root and everything else is the fruit. So
Exactly.
it's connected. If they're connected in that way, it's not a tug of war.
It's just to people who don't really observe or care or know a lot about music,
Right.
which is a shocking amount
And
of
music
people.
history is really important, but
Yeah,
you know,
but we don't have a lot of that education in schools anymore, and So it's hard for people to understand that if you like the blues, you're gonna like every other style pretty much.
You know what's, I think the biggest tragedy is that there's history no matter if you feel like the music has depth or not. So even for artists, the mumble rap generation or whatever, there's a history there. They all have stories, whether they can articulate it or not, but I don't think a lot of artists know or plugged into wanting to have deeper conversations around their work and their journey outside of the surface stuff. But there's a quick moment on, I guess, on Breakfast Club not that long ago, a rapper Designer was talking about how he uses the A syllable as, you know, and the impact it has on people. And it was so deep for people because relative to what we think of artists from his generation, right? It's like, wow, really? Full sentence? And yes, we can. So in keeping with the idea of the blues being the root and everything else being the fruit, we hear how you kind of go from the root to branching out in your albums. 2013 EP, Rolling On, it's very much blues rock, pretty much every song. Then we get to 2014, The Light in Me, and that starts to kind of be blues, soul, funk. So the soul, I felt like, was kind of like giving you a little bit of a push outward. Then 2016, live album, live at Strange Brew. Which, actually, that one was more soul funk.
Yeah, that was soul funk because of the players I was playing with. That's the other thing. I'm also influenced by the people I play with, by the people who are in my band, by
Light in Me, I feel like, is where we heard a little bit more of the tug of war. Yeah, that sounds like every song, and then you'd go back to a blues song.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And even the lineup of the song was like, I really could hear that. It's not until you get to the singles in 2018 what we heard Only Have You at the top of the show, and
Don't Lie to Me
Don't Lie to Me.
March,
when we start to hear some kind of synth pop, hip hop, reggae influences in there, do I feel like you're starting? I can feel the comfort of being like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm starting to settle into something that I can call my own, and that's all I really want. Because I've also, along the way, talk about journey. Along the way, I've been on tour, and I've just met so many people, and I've met some really extraordinary people, and I've met people who are just kind of not like average, but they're living like a less extraordinary life, and I've met everybody in between, you know? I've met like really famous people. I met like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
And you've not only met them, but you've played
like
with
hung
them.
out with them.
Okay, so there's a lot to talk about here. Let's do a lightning round right now. So, and I'm curious to know how kind of playing with them, collaborating with them, opening for them also helped you get more comfortable with branching out. But so, like, let's go into the first one that comes to mind as you went on tour with Gary Clark Jr., who's only 34 years old.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
and I think a lot of times when people think about him, like they're thinking already that he's
like
kind of
old
like
blues guy.
Old blues guy.
He's young.
So that was kind of comforting. Did you feel like, because he has a contemporary feel and like following, and the way people talk about him has some tradition to it, but it also has some like new.
He does a lot of R&B, honestly, and during his set. I mean, his hit songs his biggest hits are like rock and blues rock, but if you watch his set, it's all over the place, just like mine. Yeah. And he's got a pretty sweet team behind him though. So I think there's a way to do what I'm doing. I think you market certain songs, and then once you get the butts in the seats, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. As long as you play that one song that they heard on the radio. And so that's kind of what Gary's
got. And then you kind of do a little bit of retraining. The audience.
It's like Jedi mind trick. Basically, where I'm at right now, I just got to get that one. And I don't really care which one it is, because I love all my songs. Right. If it's a bluesy one, that's cool.
So you feel like you're still working towards that song that really does it, or do you feel like you have that song that really has converted people or opened their mind?
I'm waiting for the timing.
You're waiting for the timing.
Because I feel like I've been writing songs that people could have really loved on a mass level for a while now. It's just timing, man. Timing, and also the team you have around you. Okay. So that's really what I'm working towards right now. Just
what do you mean? Like you're trying to build that team?
Marketing team, And usually that comes with a big label, but sometimes you don't get so lucky with the big label. Sometimes they want to change you too much. Yeah. Sometimes you do get lucky. I feel Gary got lucky. He's able to still really be himself. He probably makes some compromises, but just being on tour with him, he really does get to stretch out and be himself. And so it's really a blessing that he got a label that allows him to do that. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking for the same thing. But, But
Well, the good
until
news
then,
is
you
that
know
the
what?
blues is really
Probably
just a
playing.
conversation. Last week, Binky Grip Tight was on the show, and he said soul is not necessarily just about a specific genre of music, but it's a feeling, it's an approach, it's an authenticity, and I feel like blues kind of evokes some of the same thing. Let's continue the conversation that the blues is having through all of these different genres that you're playing with. In the next song, it's called Fight, but maybe it doesn't have to be a fight. Give it up for Jackie Venson one more time.
It could be a good fight.
It could be a good
There's
fight.
such things.
Sparring partner.
Yep.
Takes every little ounce of patience. I've worked so hard to make this. Focusing till there's tears in my eyes. I gotta work, gotta change my life. I wanna see higher, I wanna grow further. Open my eyes and fight the good fight. Good fight. I wanna dive deeper, I wanna love truer. Open my eyes and fight the good fight. Good fight. Change the world, you first must change yourself. Raise the vibration of someone else till the eyes and the hearts are open. And we cause a chain reaction. Free ourselves from mental slavery. Never falling for false security. I wanna see higher, I wanna grow further. Open my eyes and fight the good fight. A good fight. I wanna dive deeper, I wanna love truer. Open my eyes and fight the good fight. A good fight. I wanna believe, believe, believe. I wanna believe that we all will fight the good fight. A good fight. I wanna believe, believe, believe. I wanna believe that we all will fight the good fight. A good fight. That we all will fight the good fight. A good fight. in spirit. The truth, we cannot hear it. Bowing down to willful ignorance. To a culture comes destruction. To a culture comes destruction. To a culture comes destruction.
Jackie Venson. All right, Jackie, we got to do this quick.
Okay.
Running out of time. We got 60 seconds or less to do this lightning round.
Okay, we go. Boom.
Mono Neon. I'm throwing out some names. You tell me what kind of energy these people are putting out because you're big on energy.
Mono Neon.
He's using a guitar to have a voice,
He's
and I feel like you're doing something
Mono
similar.
Neon's awesome.
One word.
Shout out.
Awesome. Okay.
Revolutionary. Boom.
Okay, cool. Kanye West.
Sad.
Okay. Childish Gambino.
Interesting.
Yes. Cardi B.
Funny.
Buddy Guy.
Legendary.
And quick unknown fact, he's the father of Southern rapper Shawnna, which is really amazing. I know, right? Who knew? And last one,
That's awesome.
May 21st.
Jackie Venson Day.
Jackie Venson Day, City Council. Is this real?
Yeah.
Jackie Venson Day was declared by the City Council of Austin.
Yeah, May 21st.
May 21st, coming up.
2014.
But it happens every year, or it's just a once in his lifetime?
It happens every year.
Okay, cool. Well, so May 21st comes up. Think of Jackie Venson.
For sure.
It'll be Jackie Venson Day, and I think that might be Janelle Monáe and Lauryn Hill.
Oh, my loves.
Loves.
I love them so much. My heart explodes.
And there's thousands of people all over the world saying the same thing about Jackie Venson. Give it up for her one more time.
Thank you.
I think that's all we have time for. I always want to hold on to you all so much longer. Thank you. Braving the path paved by the likes of Jessie May, Etta, Rosetta, Odetta, and Deborah Coleman. Rest in peace. Jackie Venson honors these musical gladiators by shredding and slaying strings and stages and edges all over the globe with equal parts grit and grace. And we are so grateful that you took time from your busy tour to join us tonight, very much so. And to tell all of you who enjoy getting your proverbial wig snatched by qualified badass musicians, you can check out this and past episodes of B-Side on youtube.com/BRIC TV and listen to our podcast at soundcloud.com/B-Side podcast. Or just come on by the studio and get them edges slayed up close. I am your host, Queen GodIs, celebrating hot fire music and all this wonderfully warm weather. We love you, Brooklyn. Till next time.
On the side of the street where the grass is dead but they water the concrete. In the summer I watch the people float by, in the winter I watch them weep and cry. I live in a little house on the side of the street. Yeah, I live in a little house on the side of the road where the people starve just to feed their cars and boats. In the fall, the men they stop and shout. In the spring, the women brag about. I live in a little house on the side of the road. Oh, try to believe that word will set you free. Only wise men see that we were always free. We are always free. I live in a place where the people wonder why the grass is always greener on the other side. In the day they go to work and wait, in the night night they drink their fears away. I live in a place where the people know why. Oh, try to believe that word will set you free. Only wise men see that we were always free. We're always free.
Thank you.